Some people stay broke not because they don't earn enough, but because income alone doesn't create wealth. A higher paycheck can solve short-term problems, but without the right habits and systems, it often just leads to bigger expenses. As income rises, so does lifestyle, nicer cars, better apartments, more spending, and suddenly, there's still nothing left at the end of the month. Making money isn't the problem. Keeping it, and multiplying it, is where most people fall short. Many were never taught how to manage money beyond paying bills. Budgeting feels restrictive, saving feels optional, and investing feels intimidating. So the money flows in, and just as quickly flows out. Another issue is mindset. If someone sees money as something to spend rather than something to build, they'll always be stuck in a cycle. Instant gratification wins over long-term thinking. Instead of buying assets that grow in value, they spend on things that lose value the moment they're purchased. There's also a lack of financial structure. Wealthy individuals tend to have systems, automatic savings, investments, multiple income streams, while others rely only on active income. If that income stops, everything stops. Without a plan, even a high salary can disappear quickly. Debt plays a major role too. High earners often qualify for more credit, which can lead to more liabilities. Instead of using debt strategically, it becomes a trap, monthly payments stacking up until most of their income is already spoken for before they even receive it. At the core, it comes down to behavior, not just income. The people who build wealth focus on discipline, delayed gratification, and making money work for them. Because in the end, earning more money doesn't change your financial life, what you do with that money does. You don't need more hustle, you need a better system. Because working harder only increases income, it doesn't guarantee you'll keep any of it. Without structure, more effort just leads to more money slipping through your hands. Most people rely on willpower to manage money, but willpower fades. A system doesn't. When your finances are automated, saving, investing, allocating, you remove the daily decisions that often lead to mistakes. It becomes consistent, predictable, and efficient. A strong system tells every dollar where to go before you even touch it. Instead of reacting to bills and impulses, you're directing your money with intention. That shift alone turns chaos into control. It also creates momentum. Small, consistent actions, like automatic investments or recurring savings, compound over time. You're no longer starting from zero each month. Your money begins to build on itself. Hustle burns you out. Systems free you. When things are set up correctly, your income works in the background, growing quietly while you focus on living, learning, and expanding. At the end of the day, success isn't about how hard you work, it's about how well your system works. There are only 3 steps to building real wealth. Make it, manage it, multiply it. Making money is where most people begin, and where many quietly stop. It's the part that feels productive, the hustle, the paycheck, the visible reward for effort. But income alone is just motion, not progress. Without direction, it becomes a cycle: earn, spend, repeat. You can work harder, earn more, and still end up in the exact same place financially. Managing money is where things start to shift. This is where awareness turns into control. It's not just about budgeting, it's about giving every dollar a role, protecting what you've earned, and building consistency into your financial life. When money is managed properly, it stops disappearing and starts accumulating. Without this step, even high income turns fragile. Multiplying money is where wealth actually forms. This is the transition from effort to leverage. Instead of trading time for money, you begin putting your money to work, through investments, assets, and systems that grow over time. This is where patience replaces urgency, and strategy replaces hustle. It's quieter, less flashy, but far more powerful. The problem is most people try to skip steps. They want to invest without managing, or spend without structure, or earn without a plan. But wealth doesn't respond to shortcuts. Each stage builds on the last, and ignoring one weakens everything that comes after it. When all 3 work together, something changes. Money stops feeling temporary. It becomes stable, then scalable. You move from reacting to your finances, to actually controlling them. Because wealth isn't about one big moment, it's about a system that works, day after day, whether you're thinking about it or not. Most people trade time for money, and stay stuck there. It feels productive. It feels responsible. It pays the bills and keeps life moving. But beneath that routine is a quiet ceiling, one that never really breaks no matter how hard you push. Because when your income depends on your time, your growth is limited by something you can't expand. At the first level, you're working for money. You wake up, you show up, and you exchange hours for income. It's predictable, structured, and necessary for most people at the start. But it comes with a hidden trade-off: control. Your schedule, your energy, and your earning potential are all tied to something external. And the moment you stop showing up, the income disappears just as quickly as it came. Then comes the second level, using your skills to earn more. This is where awareness begins. You realize your income isn't fixed, it's flexible. You learn, you adapt, you sharpen your abilities. Maybe you negotiate higher pay, build a side skill, or position yourself in a way that increases your value. The gap between effort and reward starts to widen in your favor. But even here, there's still a leash. Your income may grow, but it still relies on you. Your time, your presence, your output. You've upgraded your earning power, but you haven't escaped the equation. If you stop, the system still pauses with you. The third level is where everything shifts, building something that pays you, with or without your constant involvement. This is where leverage enters the picture. Instead of being the engine, you build the engine. Businesses, investments, digital assets, systems, structures that continue producing even when you step away. This is where effort turns into ownership. And this level requires a different mindset. It's less about speed and more about design. Less about hustle and more about systems. You're no longer chasing income, you're constructing it. Piece by piece, decision by decision, until your money starts working independently of your time. It's not instant. There's no quick jump from trading hours to owning flow. It takes patience to build, discipline to maintain, and clarity to stay focused when results aren't immediate. Most people quit here, not because it doesn't work, but because it doesn't work fast enough. So they stay where it's familiar. They keep trading time, keep increasing effort, keep hoping that more income will eventually solve a structural problem. But income alone doesn't create freedom, structure does. And that's the line most never cross. They stay busy, but never break free. They move faster, but not forward. Because they never shift from earning money to building something that earns for them. Because in the end, if your income stops when you stop, that's not freedom. That's survival. Here's where most people lose. Not because they don't earn enough, but because money leaves faster than it comes in. Income rises, but expenses quietly rise with it. What feels like progress on the surface is often just a faster cycle underneath, more coming in, but just as much going out. Wealth isn't about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. Because what you keep is what you can grow. What you keep is what gives you options. And without that gap between income and expenses, there's nothing left to build with. The problem is subtle. Every raise, every new opportunity, every increase in income brings a decision: expand your lifestyle or expand your future. Most people choose lifestyle without realizing it. Better car, bigger place, more spending disguised as reward. And it feels justified. You worked for it, you earned it. But over time, those upgrades become obligations. What started as freedom slowly turns into pressure: more bills, more commitments, more dependence on staying at the same income level just to maintain everything. This is how high earners still feel broke. Not because they lack money, but because they lack margin. There's no space between what they earn and what they spend. And without margin, there's no stability, only constant motion. If your lifestyle grows every time your income grows, you never actually move forward. You just move sideways at a higher level. The numbers change, but the feeling stays the same. Real wealth is built in that gap, the difference between what comes in and what stays. That gap is what gets invested, multiplied, and turned into something lasting. Without it, even a high income becomes temporary. Because at the end of the day, money doesn't disappear by accident, it follows your habits. And if those habits don't change, neither will your outcome. So it's not about earning more. It's about keeping more, controlling more, and building something that outlives your paycheck. This is where wealth is actually built. Money sitting still does nothing. It feels safe, but it stays the same. No growth, no momentum, no expansion. Over time, it even loses power quietly, eaten away by rising costs and missed opportunity. Money invested multiplies. Not instantly, not magically, but consistently. Given time and the right structure, it begins to grow beyond what effort alone could ever produce. This is where patience turns into power. The wealthy don't just earn money, they convert it. Income becomes ownership. Cash turns into assets, businesses, investments, systems that generate returns long after the original work is done. And those returns don't get spent right away. They get recycled, reinvested, put back into the same system that created them in the first place. That's how growth compounds, quietly, steadily, almost unnoticed at first. Over time, something shifts. Your money starts producing more money than your time ever could. The focus moves from working for income to managing and expanding what you already built. That's the real transition, from effort to leverage, from income to assets, from active work to exponential growth. Because in the end, hard work has limits. But a well-built system doesn't. Poor mindset: what can I buy? Wealth mindset: what can this become? At first glance, it sounds like a small difference, a tweak in phrasing. But that single shift changes how every dollar is treated, and over time, it quietly reshapes your entire financial life. What can I buy is focused on the present moment. It's driven by emotion, convenience, and the desire to feel rewarded. Money comes in, and the instinct is to convert it into something tangible, something you can enjoy now. A purchase becomes proof of progress, even if nothing has actually grown beneath the surface. And it works, for a moment. The excitement hits, the upgrade feels real, and for a short time, it creates the sense of moving forward. But that feeling fades faster than expected. Then the cycle begins again. More income, more spending, more chasing the same temporary satisfaction. Over time, this mindset builds a life that looks full, but isn't stable. Expenses expand to match income. Commitments stack up, and instead of creating freedom, money creates pressure, the pressure to keep earning just to maintain everything you've already bought. On the other side is a quieter question: what can this become? This mindset doesn't rush. It pauses. It looks at money not for what it can provide today, but for what it can produce tomorrow. It introduces patience into a space most people treat with urgency. Here, money becomes a seed instead of a reward. Instead of being spent instantly, it's directed with intention into things that have the potential to grow. Skills that increase earning power. Assets that generate returns. Systems that continue working even when you're not. This approach doesn't feel as exciting in the beginning. There's less instant gratification, fewer visible rewards. In fact, it can feel like you're holding back while others are moving ahead. But what's really happening is different. You're building underneath the surface. And over time, that foundation starts to show. The money you didn't spend begins to multiply. The decisions you delayed begin to pay off. What once felt slow starts to gain momentum, and that momentum becomes difficult to stop. The gap between the two mindsets widens with time. One stays in a loop, earning and spending, always needing more to feel the same. The other builds a system, earning, keeping, growing, until money starts to create options instead of obligations. One spends to feel rich, surrounding themselves with things that look like wealth but require constant upkeep. The other builds to be rich, creating assets and structures that produce value long after the initial effort is gone. In the end, it's not about how much money passes through your hands. It's about what you allow it to turn into. Because money spent is gone, but money built keeps working. Earn money, keep more of it, turn it into assets, let it grow, reinvest, over and over again. Simple, but not easy. It starts with earning, but not just earning randomly. There's intention behind it, increasing income through skill, positioning, or opportunity. Not just working more hours, but becoming more valuable so each hour produces more. Then comes the part most people overlook: keeping it. Not everything earned is available to build with. What's kept is what creates leverage. Without that gap between income and spending, the process stops before it even begins. From there, money is turned into assets. This is the shift from consumption to construction. Instead of spending for the moment, it's deployed into things that can return more than they cost: investments, businesses, systems that have the ability to produce. Then comes time, the least exciting but most powerful step. Growth isn't instant, it compounds. Left alone and structured correctly, assets begin to expand beyond the original input. What started small begins to build momentum, and instead of pulling the gains out to spend, the cycle continues. Profits are reinvested, put back into the same engine that created them. This is where acceleration happens, where growth starts stacking on top of growth. Over time, the loop tightens. Each pass through it becomes more efficient. More capital, better decisions, stronger systems. What once required effort begins to require oversight. That's why it's simple. The steps are clear. There's no mystery in the process. But it's not easy, because each step goes against instinct. Spending less when you earn more. Waiting when you want results now. Reinvesting when you could enjoy the reward. Most people break the loop early. They earn, but don't keep. Or they keep, but don't invest. Or they invest, but don't stay consistent long enough to see it work. And that's the difference. Wealth isn't built in one big move. It's built by repeating a simple cycle long enough for it to matter. And here's the truth. Nobody teaches you this growing up. You're shown how to follow instructions, meet deadlines, and work toward a paycheck, but not how to turn that paycheck into something that grows. The focus is on earning, not building. On effort, not leverage. You're told to work hard, and that message gets repeated everywhere. Work harder, stay consistent, push through. And while those traits matter, they're only one piece of the equation. Hard work can get money into your hands, but it doesn't tell you what to do once it's there. What's missing is the framework behind the effort. How to control your cash flow. How to create a gap between what you earn and what you spend. How to take that gap and turn it into something productive instead of letting it disappear. These are learned skills, but most people never get taught them early. So people enter adulthood with half the blueprint. They know how to earn, but not how to keep. They know how to spend, but not how to multiply. And without realizing it, they repeat the same cycle. Income comes in, expenses rise to meet it, and progress feels temporary. But once you understand this, everything changes. At first, it's just a shift in perspective. The same income, the same opportunities, but a completely different way of seeing them. Money stops being the goal and starts becoming a tool, something to direct, not just receive. You stop chasing money because you realize chasing is endless. There's always another level, another target, another number that feels like it will finally be enough. And the more you chase, the more dependent you become on staying in motion just to maintain your position. Instead, you start stepping back. You begin asking different questions. Not, how can I make more right now, but how can I make this work without me constantly pushing it? That question alone changes your decisions. You start building systems that create it. Small at first, simple structures, a way to manage your income automatically, a habit of saving and directing money with intention. Then gradually, those systems expand into investments, into assets, into things that produce without needing your daily attention. And the shift is subtle in the beginning. Nothing looks dramatically different on the outside. You're still working, still earning. But underneath, something is being constructed, quietly, consistently, with purpose. Over time, that structure begins to carry weight. Money doesn't just come from effort anymore. It comes from what you've already built. From decisions you made months or years ago that are now starting to pay you back. You notice a change in how you think. Impulse fades, patience grows. You become less focused on what money can do today, and more focused on what it can create tomorrow. The urgency to spend is replaced by the discipline to build. And with that comes a different kind of confidence. Not the kind that comes from having money, but from knowing how to create it, keep it, and grow it. That confidence doesn't depend on a single paycheck or a single opportunity. It's rooted in a system you understand and control. Eventually, the gap widens between you and the old cycle. Where money once passed through your hands quickly, it now stays, grows, and returns. Where effort once had to be constant, it now becomes strategic. Because you're no longer relying on hustle alone. You've built something that works in the background, something that doesn't stop just because you do. And that's when everything truly changes. When money is no longer something you chase, but something your systems are designed to create, again and again.